Hey, man, you know what I love about what we do?
What's that?
Everything.
Yeah, I know. I agree.
I just, I'm just thinking it's that typical hybrid kind of day. I mean, I'm doing all the customer stuff, taking care of this and get samples out on that and solving a problem here or there and taking some orders and doing all that stuff that I love. But then you get to find this little couple hour period and just talk to some really great guests, man. It's good stuff, buddy.
It really is, especially when you're sick. I've been. You're going to want to take some stock in Kleenex because
All right.
I have a feeling it's going to go up. But on a day when you're not feeling great, a couple rack and stacks are awesome.
Should I put a mask on?
No, I think we'll be okay. I think between here and Michigan, you're probably safe.
I could get one of those old cloth ones that I used to have.
That's right.
Back in the start of that whole thing. Remember, everybody made those little cloth ones.
This mic is about as effective as those cloth masks.
I know. I don't know how we got on that, but I got to say it because it still cracked me up. And you go to the supermarket, and they put that little tiny bit of glass there.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, so I guess the virus can't go around it or over it or.
Meanwhile, the person that's stocking your groceries for you is doing this.
Yeah, well,
putting it in the bags.
Everything, it was. We got into some weird areas there, but that's a whole nother 6 hour segment.
Another show, right?
That's another 6 segments we could do on that.
Right.
And then half the country would hate us, so we probably should just leave it alone.
That's right.
Anyway, but hey, we had in our earlier Rack and Stack, we went deep into our industry of post frame and metal roofing with a great buddy of mine and now yours. Now we're gonna have a return guest, and we talk about this a lot and tongue in cheek at times about there's 2 ways to come back, right? You massively screw up and you're just terrible, need a little redemption, or you're just so incredibly great that we got to have you back. With Scott is neither. We got to have a third. No, I'm just kidding. He was he was amazing the first time, and it's just time to. I wanted to have Scott back for one reason only. I just like the dude. He's a good dude. He's a great guy. He does some great stuff. Travels the world, and we're gonna blast into just the state of the world together with Scott Miller, because you know what he's doing right now, as always. He's living my best life. That's what he has right on his LinkedIn. I'm looking at it right here. Living my best life.
That's
I like that. That's good stuff. So let's go live our best life for 30, 40 minutes with Scott. What do you think?
Let's do it.
All right.
Let's brother.
Go. Boom. There we are, buddy.
Good afternoon.
It is a good afternoon, man.
It's a great afternoon.
It's when you're living your best life, or love what you do and do what you love. I mean, our mantras are somewhat the same. It's every day's a great day, man.
That's true, right? I retired from the corporate world 2 years ago, and I was living a pretty good life then. Now I'm living an unbelievable life.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, I thought, hey, I'm going to retire. I'm going to, I'll go out and play a lot of golf, and I'll do all these things. And it turns out that with our business, my wife and I are in business together, and we have 3 companies, and I'm working more now than I was before I was retired. So I'm retired, but I'm working even more.
Isn't that funny how that happened? And probably happier than you've ever been, I'll bet.
You know what? It's I always tell people, I don't have any set hours. There's no set days of the week that I work. So some days I'll work 3 days in a row for 10 hours a day. And then maybe one day I don't do anything, right? That's pretty rare. But, and it just, whenever the mood strikes me, I keep busy otherwise, right? But hey, whenever the mood strikes me, then I find something to, get involved in, usually make a mess of it, and then you can straighten it out. That's how I keep myself entertained. So.
Oh, exactly. Hey, if you don't have problems, at some point, if everything's perfect, you get bored, there's going to be nothing to do.
That's right.
It's like, God, a day's perfect again. I'll drink more coffee, I guess, or have a couple of Dr. Peppers and call it a day, right? But right. I think when you mentioned about the leaving the corporate world, it was around that time frame. I think I remember you and I chatted on the phone.
That's right.
And I was sitting at a little local watering hole on Marco Island, at the bar,
Yeah.
having a Dr. Pepper, and we had a probably 45-minute chat, and that was an interesting chat. And then we met up later on the island with your daughter, if I'm not mistaken.
That's
Or
right.
in Naples, I guess. Was it on the island or was it
Yeah,
Naples?
no, it was in Naples.
It was in
And,
Naples. Yep.
yeah, my daughter, she came with me down to Florida. Of course, it was interesting because in that area, we were staying at a fairly nice hotel, and we came out. We were waiting for the valet to bring the car, and this older woman was making loud enough comments for us to hear to her husband about what was I doing at this hotel with that young woman, you know. And I'm like, that's my daughter. They're all probably like, yeah, sure.
Oh yeah, right. Yep. Yeah. That's funny though. Yeah, that's funny because not when you say that, it's funny because I've grabbed a granddaughter to go to dinner or something, you know, when I'm traveling, and you do feel like at certain times you need to say, "It's my granddaughter."
That's right.
You know, it's like, you know, it's like first place. Look at me. You think I'm good enough looking? Really? Come on. Let's be honest here. But you know, that's funny though. Yeah, we had a great time, man. I enjoy you, and I wish we you know, you're busy catting around the world and living your life, and I'm busy doing what I do. But you're one of those guys that I don't. Like I told you when we talk about you jumping on and just pre-show, I don't really care what we talk about. I just like talking to you. It's always engaging and entertaining. But with all that said, tell us what you're doing right now. Tell us about your businesses.
Yeah. So here's we have 3 businesses. We do, you know, I left the corporate world, and, you know, I was running big sales teams in the corporate world. And so I discovered that there's a lot of businesses between like $1 and $10 million that they really need help, right? They've done a great job building the business. The first hurdle is $1 million. It's hard to get to that number. You know, if you listen to some of the gurus out there, they're like, oh yeah, you just do this and that and the other thing, and the next thing you know, you're at $1 million of revenue. It doesn't quite work like that. But the first kind of checkpoint, Randy, is around $3 million, right? Where now they're forced to rely on other people inside the business. And that's a very, very difficult transition for most business owners, right? Whether it's a smaller business, you know, an entrepreneur, a solopreneur, or it's a business that's grown into several people. That's a very difficult thing for, you know, for them to grasp.
Right.
Oh, I'm not gonna be in control of everything in the business, right? And then the next checkpoint is around $7 million, $7 to $8 million. And that's the one that if they can get over that hurdle, because at that point now they have to put in systems, they have to put in SOPs, they have to put in processes, and you know, they've got to have, the ship has to be tight to, you know, for it to run properly. So we help them get over that spot, and then you got a pretty good runway from around $8 million to somewhere between 15 and 20 million, depending on the people in place, right? So my focus is the $1 to $10 million. I help people get over those 2 hurdles. I will work with companies that are bigger than that, but that seems to be my expertise. So, but when we got in there and we started working with these companies, what we discovered is that there's 3 things you need to be successful as a small business. You need marketing. We're sales guys, right?
Right.
I'm a sales guy at heart. It pains me to say this, but it's the truth. You know, marketing is senior to sales. If you don't have a customer to sit in front of, you can't sell them anything, right? So you can be the greatest salesperson on planet Earth, but if you don't have an audience, then, you know, it's all for naught. So, you know, the 3 things they need: marketing, sales, and they need to be really good at what they do, right? So the most people that have gotten to that point are really good at what they do, but they're lacking marketing, sales, or both. So out of that was born a marketing agency. We started a marketing agency. My wife is an absolute genius at branding and marketing. She's got her undergrad was in linguistics, but her her MBA is in marketing, right? And she's just an absolute genius with this. She's very, very, you know, she's the face of our company. You know, she's I don't know how many followers she has on social media, but she's, I guess, what they call an influencer.
Mhm.
And then she is on between her YouTube channel and her Instagram in particular, but also TikTok. But those two mainly, she's gotten about 10 million views of her
Nice.
video content over the last 4 years or so.
Wow.
So, and you know, as you can see here, you know, going through our kind of our front of our webpage, we've been on Good Morning America. We executive produce our own TV show right now called Lessons from Failures. So that's another little endeavor that we do. That's a lot of fun. She's the host of that show. You can see there's one of the episodes.
Oh, there. Yep.
And but yeah, so and then we have a business in Vietnam. She is Vietnamese, so we have a business in Vietnam. We work with our biggest client over there is a company called Accor, which is it's like a Marriott or a Hyatt or a Hilton in the U.S. Right?
Okay.
So hotel chain that's predominantly in Asia, but they are in Europe. Actually, I think they have a couple locations here in the States now. So, but anyway, so we found a need for this marketing agency. So really, we're a consulting business, but most people need our marketing services as well. That's how we grow their business. So.
Okay. So you consult, but you actually will take on you'll head up their marketing for them for a while through your team. They can outsource the marketing to you, or do you more consult with them to help them develop their own plan and then let them run with it, or a combination of both?
It's kind of a combination. It depends on the client. Most of them, we do it for them. So we develop the marketing plan in conjunction with them. Excuse me. And then we implement it for them. And now we've started doing that with sales as well. So we have 2 of our clients right now that we're running appointment setters, a marketing team, and then a sales team as well. So,
okay.
So we're doing kind of all those things at once. So,
you know, something you said that, and because I agree 100% with what you said about the marketing and sales. And so a tongue-in-cheek statement is, so if we just make a great widget, whatever that widget is, and just kind of put it on the shelf, so to speak, whatever that looks like, it doesn't just automatically sell. I mean,
no.
That's a misnomer. Am I wrong?
No, that's exactly. Unless you're giving away, you know, if you have you put maybe a bag of drugs or something on a cardboard table, you know, on a card table on a corner in the middle of a bad neighborhood, that might sell itself.
Right.
It might go off the shelf by itself. But outside of that, people have to know what you're selling, right? You know, look, one of the things we promote when we're talking about our marketing is best known beats best every time. Without a doubt, right? And a great example of this is Domino's Pizza, right? So Domino's Pizza has been around for whatever it is, 35, 40 years now. But when it first came out, it was at a time when there was a lot of women joining the workforce, right? There weren't, you know, now it's very commonplace. There's women in the workforce. They're at all different levels and business and corporate, and it's great, right? Back then, women were just really making their way into, you know, mainstream business. Like there was still a lot of stay-at-home moms, whatever, right? So Domino's, have you ever tasted Domino's pizza?
Oh, I've had it.
Yeah. Is it the best tasting pizza you've ever had?
They're not a corporate sponsor, are they? No. I would go down this. No, I mean, it's satisfactory if they're the only place in town and I really want a pizza.
But you're right. Think about what they were selling. They were not selling pizza. What they were selling is a piping hot pizza delivered to your house in less than 30 minutes or less, right? So mom, if that was she, you know, she would go home. She starts a new job. She goes home. Man, the husband's complaining, where's my dinner? The kids are complaining, they're hungry. The dog is growling, he's hungry too, right? And mom's like, wait a minute, I'm working all day long too, just like everybody else is now. Like, why is this my job, right? So along comes Domino's and they said, hey, mostly ladies, that's who they were targeting. What if you just picked up the phone before you left your office and you called Domino's, your local Domino's store, and there was a piping hot pizza on the dinner table when you got to the house, and everybody's sitting there enjoying it with a big smile on their face. So it took off like crazy, right? So now we've already established, they're not a sponsor, and we're not here to bag on Domino's. That's not the point. But the point is, it's not the best pizza that you can buy. It doesn't. It's not the best tasting pizza, right? Particularly, I grew up in New Jersey, right? So Jersey people think pizza's better than New York.
Right.
New York thinks they're better than Jersey, and of course, New York and New Jersey both know for a fact they're better than Chicago, which is where I live. So,
yeah.
But anyway, that's the power of best known versus best. They became best known for a solution that they solved, not for the actual product itself. And so it became wildly popular, right? Now you have, Little Caesars and all these other ones that came along that copied that business model, but they were really the pioneers in that. And what they did was they solved the problem with we'll call it a mediocre product or an okay product, but they delivered on an exceptional promise. So they became wildly well known for that, best known, and and the rest is history. They built a ginormous company off of that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and that's all. I love that. I made a note. I may use that quote, but I'll credit to Scott Miller. But I love that quote because I've talked a lot about we have to sell solutions, not widgets. Kind of the same thing we're saying. I have the stuff I have. Right. And the products I have, I can do the dog and pony as good as anybody, and I feel like better than most because I've been doing it forever. But it's not. None of the stuff I sell is that sexy. It's not like, oh my God, that's the only thing. You can buy any product I have from multiple different suppliers, and you know what? At the end of the day, it'll still do what it's supposed to do. Right. Your life is not going to end if you buy somebody else's, right? So it has nothing to do with the widget. No. Right. It has to do with all the other parts that come with it. What I can bring to the table as your rep, what the customer service people, the logistics people, the packaging people, the management, everything comes into play because you're not buying it like in the metal roofing. I think because that's an area that I'm actively involved with. You're not buying the 29 gauge 014 thickness with a siliconized polyester paint. You're not buying that.
No.
That's you're buying lifetime, good looks, heat reflectivity. I care about sustainability, whatever the things are that you want. And I think you just hit it, and I loved it. Because so many people think, well, I'm selling the best metal. And what you just said doesn't really matter. Not as much as this other guy is selling an end result that makes you more willing to spend this money with Scott Miller than you are with Randy Chafee, right? That's the difference.
Yeah. I mean, look, this town I grew up in New Jersey, there was a pizza joint there called Ferraro's. The best pizza that you could get this pizza was delicious. But he got beat in a big way when Domino's and Little Caesars and these guys came along. Because why? Because they didn't deliver at that time. Delivery wasn't a mainstream thing back then. So now, even though everybody in the house agreed that Ferraro's pizza is better than Domino's, Mom still picked Domino's because they delivered the piping hot pizza to her house in 30 minutes or less on the table. She didn't have to worry about anything. If she went to Ferraro's for the better pie, now she has to go from the office on the way home. She has to stop at Ferraro's. She got to wait there 20 minutes while they finish cooking the pie, put it in the car, drive home. Of course, she had to hit the brakes a couple times hard on the way home. So when she gets home, opens up
all the box,
inside of the pie, all these kinds of things, right?
So she was buying the end result of a satisfactory pizza pie, piping hot on my table. She wasn't buying the best pizza because she would have went somewhere else all day long. And she opted for, it's interesting because she opted for the quality of life that came from just getting home and the pizza's there, which is what, another way of it sounds like that Domino's they were selling a certain quality of life for you, which means it's for lady come home from work, guys home with the kids. Do I go out in the cold and the snow and put the kids in the car and strap them in and drive through the traffic screaming at everybody for 12 minutes to pick up a stupid pizza?
That's right.
Or do I sit here in my jammies and just wait till they knock on the door, right? And I love that. I love that concept because it's so true. And you could take that, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, because you've been into, all kinds of industries. It transcends almost any industry, does it not?
100% to you. But here's the thing, and you just hit on something that's key. There's 3 salespeople on planet Earth. Well, there's 4. There's the one that's really terrible and they don't last very long and they go back to whatever it was they were doing ahead of time. Then there's the ones that come in and they learn features and benefits. They understand them implicitly. Like you're talking about the example of the roof, but like, let's say I'm selling a door. So the door, the feature is it has a handle. The handle opens and closes the door and it locks it securely. So that's the benefit, right? I can come in and out of the house. I can lock the door and keep myself safe, those kinds of things. So those are features and benefits. If somebody gets that down pat, whether it be roofing or digital marketing or doors or widgets or pizza pies, it doesn't matter. If they understand the features and benefits, they'll be a good salesperson, right? Mm-hmm. If they understand the result they get, which is what you were just talking about, right? Is, hey, the result is my quality of life improves, right? Now I don't have to drive all over town. I go straight home. Everybody's happy, right? The dog's happy, the kid's happy, the husband's happy, I'm happy, right? That's like the great salespeople. The really, 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 really great salespeople are going to sell mom on how she's going to feel when she walks in the door and the kids run over and dad runs over and gives her a giant hug and says, Mommy, I love you so much because you got this pizza too. We wanted pizza tonight and it showed up even before you got here. You're the best mommy that ever lived. The guy that can sell that, how she's going to feel, is going to be, that guy in any industry is going to make 2, 3, 4, 10 times the amount of money of every other salesperson in that industry.
I love that because it comes back to an old adage that we've all known and don't always practice as well as we should probably, but people still, unless you're doing $1 trillion government deals, I suppose, but generally speaking, people are buying on emotion, on feelings, and substantiate with logic, right? And I think that's exactly what you're saying. You still need that features and benefits. I have to be able to make sure, Scott, that you understand that if you buy this roof that I'm telling you I'm going to do such a great job with, but it's not cheap crap, right? It's got all the stuff. You need to know that I know what I'm doing.
Yeah. But
you're only going to do that after you, like you said, after I told you how you're going to live in this green, sustainable green roof for life. We're going to reflect the heat. It's going to be warm in the winter. It's going to be cooler in the summer. You're never going to have to replace a roof even when you're 82 years old. That roof's still going to be fine. You can go buy a boat. That's what you're buying, right? As long as I substantiate it with some logic at the end that you kind of trust me. Is that a fair statement?
Absolutely. So people, when they hear a sales presentation, you can't just go in and say, hey, buy my pizza. You're going to feel really good. Nobody's going to buy that. You still have to go through a sales process. But people, if they've decided that they like the result, they're going to buy an emotion, exactly what you just said. You know what? My kids are going to love me more because I brought them this Domino's pizza. I had it sent directly to the house. However, when people ask me about that, I'm not going to say, oh, my kids love me more because I got them Domino's. I'm going to say, did you know that the cheese on a Domino's pizza is carefully crafted in Wisconsin and it's delicately moved from Wisconsin to all the distribution centers as they put the pizza together because it's a grade 3.26 mozzarella cheese. And that cheese is the absolute best mozzarella cheese for human consumption. So I'm going to pick up a few nuggets along the way that you've shared with me as a salesperson, and I'm going to use that to logically validate my purchase, right? So, you know, it's look at it like somebody buys a Rolls Royce. If you buy a Kia or a Rolls Royce, they both do the exact same thing.
Exactly.
From A to B and whatever. The person that buys the Rolls Royce, they're going to justify why did they do that? Because of, you know, the super comfort Max-Aligner suspension that's better on our roads. And even though it's a more expensive car, the car, because it rides so smoothly, that, you know, we won't end up paying as much in road taxes and fuel taxes over time because they won't need to be repaired as often, and blah 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 blah. On and on and on. They'll justify it with facts that may not even make sense to other people, but
Right.
it makes
Right.
sense to them when they heard it, right? So
Exactly. Well, it doesn't. I love this conversation, Scott, because it reminds me of a conversation that Wes and I have often with a good friend of ours, Ben Gay III. You know Ben.
I love Ben. He's the best.
And I love, we've all heard the old statement, people, all things being equal, people buy from know, like, and trust, right? That's all.
Yeah.
We got to develop that. But I love Ben's adder at the end, right? Which is, and feel safe with.
Yeah.
I love that because to me, that's the key. I can be a likable guy and I can get you to trust me. I can trust you, get you to trust me because I'll do what I say I do. Yeah,
Right.
That's easy. Just do the right stuff. And if I'm friendly, we talk about your kids' baseball and we go buy you a beer, whatever it is, you kind of like me because we kind of butted up. Those
Right.
three you put up some effort, but those are the easy three. The question that really comes down to why I want to buy from you, Scott, is I like you and I think I trust you, but what if this freaking project goes bad? Right? Is Scott going to take care of me? I trust him, but is he really going to take care of me? Do I feel safe that regardless, Scott's going to be there? I love that with Ben. Is that resonates with you? I assume too.
Yeah, I mean it's the exclamation point on getting people to feel what they're buying, right? So if mom, is the hero for getting this pizza, and now she feels more love than she ever has. Now she's safe in that decision.
Yes.
Now the good thing about Domino's or McDonald's or Burger or any of the fast food places is that, good or bad, their products are predictable. Right. So
right.
Domino's, she'll feel safe because she's going to get the exact same result every single time she hits that button to order the pie.
Right.
Right. So now she's getting the ultimate thing, which is the emotion that she wanted from it. And she feels safe in that decision. Exactly what you were saying. So
right. Because that emotion will go kittywampus the first time she brings home or they deliver a bad pizza that's not piping hot, or it was 47 minutes late, or didn't have the good mozzarella, they put cheddar on or something. I don't know, whatever they did. All of a sudden, now it's just a sucky pizza. I'm not happy at all, right? So, and then all that safe part went away, all the emotion went away, all the feel good about the sale went away, and her decision. So, I think that's a great point, because and all this reminds me of, and I wish I could remember it better the way the statement was, but we all knew the stories way back of build a better mousetrap and they'll buy it. It's kind of along in that same theory what you just said. Best known beats best every time, and that's the same thing, right? It used to be you could just build a better mousetrap,
right?
But now, and I like to, on top of that with marketing, and I'd love to take us in that direction a little bit, is you should build a good product. But it doesn't matter if it's the best, like you said, if it's not the best known. And even to take it a step further, you could build in the building industry, you can build the best building in your county. But if somebody, young dude, comes in from out of state, starts building a few buildings, and he's on social media all day, and he's got testimonies, and he's got all these people writing, so, oh my God, this is the greatest building, everything went beautiful the whole time. And you might have been doing buildings for 40 years, but nobody even knows who you are other than the word of mouth, which is still very strong and powerful. All of a sudden, you're going to find yourself getting beat by this young buck that comes into town. Again, back to what you said, he might not be as good. But again, he did the same thing. He came in and told people, because you can't buy the better mousetrap if you don't know there's a better mousetrap, right? And I think that's where in marketing we fall short a lot of times. And we do make a great product, but we forgot we never told anybody we make a better product, right? We may not even told them we make a product. We just assume that, well, we're Billy Bob's widget company, so everybody understands, well, we make widgets, right? But
look, and there's great examples of that. Look at Kodak. Kodak was once upon a time one of the premier companies on planet Earth.
Mm-hmm.
But somewhere along the way, they had the guy worked for them that invented the digital camera. And he went to them and said, "Hey, I've got this thing. Let's do digital. Forget about." And the executive team's like, "No, we sell film. That's what we do. We give the cameras away basically, and we sell the film. You know, we don't want to mess with that process, right?" Well, last time I checked, you know, Kodak went bankrupt and went out of business. Right? So they because they refused to, you know, here's one of the curious things, I'll call it, about marketing. You know, now you can't be the worst. If you're going to be the worst at something, product wise, you have to be the cheapest. That's where the price war comes in, right? So if you're selling a number 2 pencil and it's not the best quality number 2 pencil, you better be able to sell that pencil for less money than everybody else on planet Earth, or you're going out of business. And there will be people that will buy it because it's the cheapest, right? So that in that instance, that's a good business model, but you always have to be the cheapest. So if you're selling it for a penny and somebody comes along and sells it for 0.8 cents per pencil, now you have to lower your price down to 7.75. And if they go to 0.6, you have to go to a half a penny, and on and on. That's the only way you win that war, right? And then as far as like premier products, now some of them, they go off of status. So they're not going to be injured by not, like, you know, I've never seen a commercial for a Ferrari on TV. Right. But there's still lots of people driving around in Ferraris, right? Now that's a status thing. So that's a little different as well. But if you take out like kind of the exceptions to the rule, the fact of the matter is that now, particularly now, with AI coming into the scene, with the speed of the advancement, the speed at which business has advanced over the last 30 years since the internet really became mainstream, communication, our phones, I don't know, I hear those things all the time. I don't exactly know which one is true, but apparently this phone is a more advanced computer than the one that took us to the moon in 1969, right? So, you know, and it's right in the palm of our hand. So now speed and influence are things that will take you much further. If I can get on the internet on 5 or 6 platforms on the internet, I can get on TikTok and YouTube and Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn and Pinterest or wherever I'm on online, and I can vocalize a message about my product on those platforms, and I can do it simultaneously and get out to, you know, on our channels for social media. We have about 150,000 followers between all the different channels. So I can hit 150,000 people at once, whereas somebody else cannot do that. If they're still doing, you know, not door knocking, but only relationship type business, then they're not going to beat me. Right. It's just that simple. And all you need is for something to go viral, just a little bit, you know. So if I advertise something on TikTok and all of a sudden it becomes the biggest craze on TikTok, there's a product right now that Kim Kardashian came out with this week that's all over the internet. I won't say it because it's kind of, I don't know if it's, anyway, it's go look it up if you want it. She just something. And this thing, it's a piece of junk. It's literally probably cost 39 cents to make somewhere overseas. She's selling it for $32, and she sold $400 million of this stuff in like a week. Wow. Because of her brand, because of her reach in the market, because of the speed at which she could get this out. Now, if I'm selling that same product and I got to go out to distributors and hunt them down and get them interested, and some of them are like, I don't know, that thing looks junky to me. You know what I mean? It probably is, right? But it's like what does Kevin O'Leary call it on Shark Tank, right? It's like a tchotchke, like tchotchke, yep. You know, like people are gonna buy it. First of all, to say Kim Kardashian told them to buy it, and then it's goofy, you know, it's something silly, right? So, but $400 million she sold in like a couple of weeks. I mean, well,
and with that, Scott, she sold 400. Back to your point of fast and speed, she sold $400 million before the old method, if we will, would have even figured out what distributors to go ahead and contact and get an appointment with.
100%.
Right.
She sold $400 million before the other method would have sold $1.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They wouldn't even had an appointment yet, probably, because they'd have
Not
been
even
studying in some room, figuring out, spitballing what's our all the code words, right? What's our model? What's our route to market? And they'd been coming up with all their fancy terms. And she's already sold 400. And by the time they get around to doing it, especially on something my take that are maybe more faddish, if that's the right word, she will have sold all that's probably going to be sold in any big way.
Yeah.
Now she's moved on to the next thing. They're now investing tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars to sell a product that market's already rode. The horse is already rode now, right? Is that? I mean, to me, that's what happens probably every day. And that's where we are in the world of influencers and the world of speed.
You're going to see copycat products come in everywhere in every industry. An idea that hits, that goes well. Other people are going to copy that. But to your point, she sold 400 million in a couple of weeks. The next guy that comes along and copies that, maybe he sells $10 million. That's still a win.
Right.
But it's nothing. But it's going to be short-lived, right? Because she got ahead of the fad. The fad will die off. She'll still continue to sell these products over time. But the Johnny come lately, the person that jumped in late, now they may make a score, right? They might make themselves a few bucks, but they're not going to stick around. That's not going to last for them.
Right. Love it. Hey friends, it's Randy here, the owner of Source One Marketing, ibuyfromrandy.com. And I got to tell you, we are proud to sponsor the Building Wins Live podcast and vlogcast. We have 4+ decades in this beautiful industry of supplying materials, supplying services, supplying marketing assistance, and we just are proud to sponsor Building Wins Live and some great guests that we have every single week, many of them from our beloved industry and many of them from outside the industry that still bring some incredible content. So make sure to check us out at ibuyfromrandy.com and let us know what you think about this show. For now, thanks for checking this out. Let's get back to the show. I wanted to circle back real quick, and then maybe we'll jump into some of your travels and that. But I love the Kodak story, about how they could have went digital and won enough through, because they see the mistake. When I made a note when you said it, the mistake they made, my opinion, right, and I think you agree, is they thought they were selling film.
Right.
They weren't selling film. They're selling the enjoyment of looking at that picture 20 years from now when little Tommy was a year and a half old and he spit ketchup all over the couch, whatever. That's what they're right. That's what they're selling, right? I don't know if I'd be happy about Johnny spilling ketchup on my couch, but the point is they forgot what they're selling. They're selling the excitement and the memories. And like you said, the speed, digital. I take a picture of you and I right now, and you and I can laugh at it and talk about it.
That's right.
Instantly, right? I could literally take this picture and send it to you in a nanosecond. We're both looking at it, laughing. Oh, yes, right. I do look. I do realize my piano's got a purple rose on it, right, or whatever. Right. We don't have to go and go through that whole process. We're old enough. I'm older than you, but I know I am by a few years. But we don't have to go and drop it off at that little kiosk and wait for a week and a half, and then you open it up and half the pictures are bad anyways, and 3 didn't develop, and Millie had her eyes closed, and right. it's like now if you're like my wife, you take a picture of us, let me see that before you show it to anybody. Well, I don't like it, I'll take another one, right? But so I love that. So I just wanted to bring back to that because I want people to understand that. I think that's another great example of remembered what we're selling, right? And the marketing part, because we've been talking about marketing, and you're so right. If we don't have the customer base, we don't have the knowledge, people understand what it is we're selling. It's pretty hard for us sales guys to sell something. But then as sales guys, we better remember what we're selling. And in this case, this was before it even got to the sales guys. The Kodak's a great example. It never even got to the sales guys to screw it up. But what if it would have got to the sales guys and they're still out there old school going, no, we just sell film. I mean, I just want distributors that sell it to masters. I want to sell it to a master distributor in the East that sells it to 14 jobbers that sell it. And then I got to set this all up and we'll plan this out. And this is a 3-year rollout. And, iPhone will come out and do it tomorrow and they've got all the business, right?
That's right. That's right.
Love it. Good
Yep.
stuff. Good stuff, man.
Yeah.
So where do you see 2025 has been good in your opinion? Where do you see 2026 maybe on a 30,000-foot view, just in the world in general and maybe in the U.S. more specific? Are we rolling towards some good times in the world of Scott Miller's opinion, or kind of steady, or what do you see?
Well, here's the thing, right? I think the U.S. economy has been tedious at best for a long time now, probably a couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
There's some things, in my opinion, I won't make any political statements other than say there's a few things that's been going on for a long, long time. This is not the last two administrations or the last three. This is for a long time where we've been spending money we don't have. We're like drunken sailors when it comes to how we spend money for the country. And that's going to come home to roost sooner or later. We're going to have to fix that. So part of that is trying to get fixed right now. Whether it will or not, I don't know. Will it affect people? Yeah, it could. The good news is in other parts of the world, we live in Vietnam part of the year. The GDP in Vietnam is over 7%. Here in the US on a good year, it's right around 5. It's just hovers just under or just over 5. And so, as an example, Vietnam, there's other countries like this. There's a tremendous, tremendous, tremendous opportunity for those that are willing to go out and look for opportunity. So, people talk about recessions or good times or bad times or whatever. I look at it this way, like my stock funds are up right now, big time. My gold fund, I have a physical gold fund. That thing's way up, right? It's starting to lag a little bit now, but I create my own economy. So when it comes to, am I going to succeed or not? I don't look at the world as a whole, because here's what I've discovered. I've been around long enough, like you. I'm in my late 60s, right? I'm 67 years old. So I've seen enough ebbs and flows in the economy to know, even in the worst times, if you go back and you study the Great Depression and then you study the Great Recession in 2008, the commonality between those is that in the Great Depression, there was more millionaires created in the US than any other time at that time in history, right? Because people saw opportunity where there was a problem, which pretty much everybody was having a problem then, and they would fix the problem. That basic thing never changes. Like if I see a problem and I figure out a way to solve it that can help the masses, and it's something that people can afford in times that aren't as good, right? That's something you got to be cognizant of at that point. But, anybody can succeed at any time. In 2008, a lot of people succeeded. A lot of people went bust that had all these properties that were leveraged to the hilt. And then the guys that had cash came behind them and bought them all up from the banks for pennies on the dollar. And now they have these homes and apartment buildings and commercial buildings that are, maybe not paid for, but they don't owe a lot of money on them, and they're making great money. They became rich doing that. So as an example. So I'm a firm believer in everybody makes their own economy. Scott Miller's economy right now is absolutely on fire. We're doing very, very well. I have a very simple formula I use to keep track of my economy. I set a target. First, I have a goal. Then I know what my targets are to hit the goal. And then I start at 1x. Let's say I have $1,000. I want to get to 10,000. My goal is to get to 100,000, but my first target is $10,000. So that's a 10x. I need to go from 1x to 10x. When I get to 10, I've now accomplished that part of the journey. I go back to 0. That's my new 0. Now I'm at 10,000. I only have to do a 10x again. I get to my $100,000 goal. So I chop things down into targets, goals, and I pay more attention to targets, and I never change the target. So when times get tough in sales, what do most people do? Well, they either stay home or they start moving papers around on their desk, or they put their hands in their head and go, oh no, what do I do now? And if they would just up their activity at that point, if it used to take you, 25 contacts to get an appointment with somebody, start doing 75 or 100 or 125 or whatever it is to get that activity going. Because guess what? When times are tough, if they're going to be tough, I'm not sure about that yet. I think right now we're kind of doing a status quo thing right at the moment. But if it got tough, the person that's willing to go and up their activity to keep their target in line is going to beat everybody else because a lot of people are going to quit.
Hmm.
Right. Great example of that is realtors. During boom times, everybody's a realtor. Pay $60, take the test, you're a realtor, right? You run around, you go to open houses, you write contracts on the trunk of your car, you make money, and you think you're the greatest thing since sliced bread. Then when the market crashes, the real professionals, they still run around and collect all the contracts and make all the money because people still buy and sell houses in bad times or tough times, right? So, so never ever, I guess the what I'm saying is, irrespective of how it looks on the outside, never change your target. Only change the activity that goes with the target.
I like that. I'm going to write that down. So change the activity, not the target.
Never change the target.
I love that. It's a great Scottism. We've got several Scottisms.
Yeah, I mean, hey, I'm not sure I thought that up, but I'll take credit for it because
if nobody else does, I throw it out there 3 times to the universe, and if nobody grabs it, of course, I say it to myself in the bedroom at night so nobody hears, but I feel like I threw it out to the universe.
We're using the same method. I just said it to myself 3 times under my breath while you were talking. So that's mine.
That was mine. I love it. Well, Scott, I know you've been very kind and generous with your time, and we're going to catch up soon, someplace in person again. I would really love to do that. Love to meet your lovely wife if that works too, but I'm sure she may not want to meet me because most people don't, but that's okay.
You know what? She got a good word from my daughter who met you, and she said you're a great guy. So my wife is dying to meet you.
Now I even like your daughter better.
Yeah.
So, I did slip her $50. Did she tell you to say that?
Yeah, well, you know what? I've slipped her $50 a few times to get her to
say nice things or not say something.
That's right.
Hey, honey, here you go. Just this never happened. I love it. Love it.
Well, here's your $50 and.
Yes, exactly. Well, Scott, it's always great to chat with you. As we finish these out, instead of a frequently asked question, we love to ask an SAQ, a should ask question. What is it in the world of Scott Miller that you just wish people would ask you and never do?
Yeah. So the question I wish people would ask me, particularly in business, is can I identify the one thing that will change their business? Often you go into a business and they want to do this and that, and they're all over the place. And it's usually one thing. I just trained a company on Tuesday. When I started working with them, we focused on 2 things. We moved their closing ratio from 25 to 30%, and we moved their average deal from $5,000 to $10,000.
Wow.
Same staff right now. The guy's more than doubled his revenue since last December. So just with those 2 things. So people should ask simple questions, not complicated questions, right?
Yeah. So, and I told you we're done. We almost are, I promise. Do you find in the world of sales, marketing, business in general, that there's always outliers to this statement, always, but most things happen, good or bad, incrementally, right? As opposed to you never just become overnight success. Or you don't typically fail overnight unless there's outliers, just ridiculous, crazy, and one end or the other. I suppose anything's possible, but most things are incremental, right? Which means they're fixable or they're adjustable in my mind based on tiny, simple. Because you hit the word simple, and I like that. They're simple fixes. If it's a gigantic, we just went from 100 million to 40 million, which I don't know how you do that overnight. You got a big problem. But you know what? That didn't happen overnight. You just didn't see it because you didn't have a program that allowed you to see it, or you weren't seeing the forest for the trees. You could use whatever, statement you want, because that just typically doesn't happen either way, right? Is that accurate, or am I off on that?
No, it's completely accurate. And the big miss that people do in business from the day you start, even if you're a solopreneur, a one-man show, put standard operating procedures and protocols and processes in place from day one, because somewhere along the way, you're going to have to replace yourself, or you're going to have to start hiring people. And if it's like the Wild West, when you're hiring people, it can get way out of control. So to your point, this company I was training the other day, their marketers go from 200 calls a day to 220, go from 5 set appointments a day to 10. Get the closing ratio, get their demo rate from 70 to 80%, get the salespeople, get their demo rate. So in other words, when they get to the house, how many people they actually meet
Mhm.
with, get that to 80%, and then move their closing ratio up 5 points from 25 to 30. If they do that, they'll exponentially grow their business.
Right.
And it's just little tweaks. These are not big things big adjustments. They're like, hey, make 20 more phone calls for the marketers. For the
Mhm.
sales guys right now, they're running 4 appointments, run 6. And the appointments are all set for them. It's not even like they have to,
Right.
just go do the work. And the
That's
business,
back to
business can succeed in a big way.
that's back to what you just said. Quit moving the target, right?
Quit moving the target. Keep the target the same. And the other thing too, 2 things about that. You and I can talk for 3-4 hours, but
Yeah.
I know we have to end sometime. But businesses, when I go into a business, and this is for everybody out there, if you have a business that has done the exact same revenue for the last 5 years, you are in trouble. You are about to go out of business. Because what happens when the business looks like that is you become reliant on 1 or 2 customers. And if one of those gets a changing of the guard and they get rid of you and go to a different supplier, you're toast, right? You're absolute toast. So you should always be growing. Your gross, your EBITDA, and your net should all move. They're not going to move an exact same line, but they should be moving north at the same rate. And business, as you grow it, you will get the hockey stick effect, right? If you follow processes and procedures and protocols, you'll go, and then all of them, it goes up. And if you have the SOPs in place, everybody knows what to do when the thing catches on fire, then it's very manageable to grow a business in a big way on the outside of that initial, taking off spot, right?
Yeah. Oh, love it. Love it. Scott, great stuff, my friend. I appreciate it as always. Stay in touch. We'll get together soon. Okay.
I'll see you in Florida. I'll be there
You
in a
got it.
couple
It's
of
a
months.
deal.
We'll see you there.
That sounds good, brother. Appreciate you. All right. Cheers, pal. All
Thank
right.
you, sir.
Now, was that good stuff and entertaining? I like Scott said, and we've done it before. We could have done another 3 hours, but hey, maybe return visit number 3 is in order sometime. But anyways, another day of cutting some good stuff here. I hope you'll enjoy what you saw today with Scott. Follow him on LinkedIn or any of his companies. It's all been up on the screen all day here for you. So remember, whatever you do, don't move the target. I love that. I don't move the target. And I also love the other quote he had: best known beats best every time. I love that. It's important to market. So for now, remember, love what you do, go do what you love and love what you do. I've said that too many times. And go have an amazing day. Cheers.